A couple of weeks ago I posted a video about the Synology DS223J and I show you guys how that device is really amazing for the price that you're going to pay. But in today's video I'm going to show you a cheaper alternative on how to use a NAS and a server. So we're going to use Unraid in the video that we're going to talk about today, and we're going to use Unraid to back up our pictures and video, to set up a Plex server, and to make Windows over the network. So like this you can access Windows from all your devices, and you can even play Windows games if the computer is powerful enough. Now the computer that we're going to use today is an old desktop. It has an Intel i7 4790K and an Nvidia GT 730, which is not the best one on the market. I paid £80 for it, which is the equivalent for about $100. So let's see how this computer is actually worth more than the Synology that you're going to buy. So let's jump into the video. Now this is the Unraid server, and this is how you will look the moment after you install Unraid. Now with Unraid there is one small problem that I'm not a big fan of. The installation doesn't happen on a hard drive. You know how every OS installs on a hard drive or an SSD in the computer? No, the Unraid will actually run from a USB stick. So you always have to have the USB stick plugged in the computer. Once you install Unraid, you just log in with a password that you put there, and you're going to get root as a normal username. The first thing that you will have to do is set up your drives. So for how you can see, I'm going to stop mine here, and I'm going to show you how I have mine set up. Now with Unraid, what you can do, you can either split all the drives that you have in the computer in multiple drives, or you can combine them and create a big drive that you can use on the daily. And I have selected as a big drive because it's easier like this. So how you can see here, I have this one which is 664 gigabytes SSD, this one which is a 2 terabytes hard drive, another 250 gigabytes SSD, and this one is actually a USB hard drive, a 6 terabytes. Now with Unraid, exactly how with Synology, you can connect a USB hard drive and then make it as its own hard drive, make it like it feels like its own. Now you can create a parity. What a parity is that if you put a hard drive here, that means if any of these hard drives will fail, you will not lose your data because you'll have a parity here. So more like a copy, a backup, a hard drive. But I don't use it, to be fair, because I don't have data that important here. I only use it for music, videos, and Windows. And here it's a pool device. So this is exactly how it says here. It's creating a cache. Now I don't know if you guys know what a cache is, but much easier to explain. A cache is mostly it's small documents, small data about a certain thing, so it will load faster in the future. So think about when you open a game, a window is going to create some cache for it, and then like this, the game next time will open faster than the previous time. So once you set up your hard drives, you start. Unraid will combine every single one of them here, and it will make it into one big hard drive, and I'm going to show you that one in a second. But after you set up the hard drives, you need to create a user. So you go to users here and you can add user. Now the reason why you need a user is because your root user, it's only for login to the server. That's it. You will not be able to use your root user to connect from Windows or to connect from Mac and things like this. So the root user is mainly for the login, nothing more. Once you connect the root user, you can make the shares so everybody, the root user, can have access to the hard drives. So how you can see here, I have Unraid and ISO, which I'm using most, and I actually have them in my Explorer. So if I go to this PC, how you can see, I have 7.55 terabytes, which is all the drives combined. Now how you can see, I have Unraid and ISO, and they're literally both the same size. Now ISO is when I put my ISO files for my Unraid server, so I can, emulate other OSs from the server and stuff. And here is when I put my music, my TV shows, my movies, etc. Now the thing with Unraid is because it's a server and it's kind of like a Linux server, you can install all kind of applications. Some that they work 10 times better than on the Synology, and this is where Unraid is starting to work more than the Synology. So how you can see, I do have a couple of things. So I have Jellyfin and Plex, which is started on the Synology, on the Unraid. I have AdGuard, I got Cloudflare, and other here in productivity, two apps that I'm using to just check some speed. For example, disk speed, which is self-explanatory, will perform a speed on my disk to make sure that everything is working correctly. And Hyper3 is more that you can see the speed, the transfer speed between the server and your devices. So like this, you'll know if you have a problem in your computer and the speed is slowing down and things like this. Now how you can see here on the dashboard, I'm having literally the specification of the computer that I'm using. So 32 gigabytes. Here you can see 2 GPUs. Is because, you know, the Intel has a GPU built in, so that's why you're seeing 2 GPUs, but I only have one, which is the NVIDIA GT730. Now, once you set up all these things, you know, you can install some plugins, and the best one is the drivers. So Unraid, think about it as a Windows computer. You need to install drivers. If you don't install the drivers, then it won't work properly. So how to install the drivers? You just go to apps here, and here you just search for whatever you need. So for example, I have NVIDIA. So if I search for NVIDIA, I got here NVIDIA drivers. You have AMD, you have all kind of things, the drivers for every single thing that you need, for Intel, for everything. So all you have to do is just search, you click on it, and you click install, and everything will work perfectly. Now let's start on checking how it's actually working compared to the Synology. And we're going to start with Plex. So the moment I log in into Plex, right, I'm going to Unraid here, and here is where the magic actually happens. Now all of these movies that I'm having here, they are 4K movies, and the moment I click play on it, they run perfectly. And of course they should run perfectly, because on the Synology you can watch 4K movies. That means you can watch 4K movies on Unraid, which is more powerful technically. But the beauty starts when you're actually going to watch the movies outside your house. And let me show you what I'm talking about. So how you can see on my phone, I am on 5G. So we're going to open Plex. And here we're going to try to watch a movie from an Unraid server. So here we're going to home. And we're going to wait a little bit to connect. How you can see they're all gray. Now we're going to go to movies. Amazon Alexa, I don't care. And all the movies here are literally 4K. Every single movie from Synology is in 4K, how you can see here. And now when I click resume on my phone, remember with Synology we were unable to do this thing because it wasn't powerful enough. Now with this one, while it's loading, let's open the Unraid server to see how it goes. So how you can see, the processor is full. Let's put the volume down, but the 4K movie does work on streaming from other devices outside your house. So you can stream 4K movies outside your house. So how you can see, the processor is going up, the video card not so much, but the processor did go up because it's transcoding a 4K movie over the internet. But it does work. Everything was perfectly, and this is why I prefer Unraid rather than Synology. Do keep in mind that it depends on your internet connection. So if you're not having a fast internet upload connection, because what it's doing is uploading to you the music or the movie that you want to see. So do keep in mind this one. But the best thing that I'm using the server for, don't get me wrong, AdGuard, I'm not using it. I'm a YouTuber, so I'm not going to use AdGuards. I pay for YouTube Premium. Cloudflare, I only use it for the testing. So these ones, they're only for testing. But you can make your own ad block in your own house. So like this, you can secure all devices connected to the Wi-Fi or the internet in your house. But the best thing that I love about Synology is the VM function. Now, what is the VM function? The VM function, that means you can install an operating system that you can then access from all devices. So we're going to add a VM here. Now with Windows 11, keep in mind, remember with those requirements that Windows is asking, we need to do some checks. So we're going to give how many CPUs you want here. So how many cores. Here you can select the, your processor that you have, how many gigabytes of RAM do you want to give it. Here the OS installation, you're going to select Windows 11, and the IO driver, which this one is, it got selected automatically because I did have it installed in the past. VirtIO, I will leave in the link in the description where to download it. You select it. Here you're not going to touch nothing. Primary location, it's just select auto, you will do. Primary, how much storage do you want to give? I'll say 128G. Here you don't change nothing, and here is where it's becoming interesting. So you can select, for example, I can select my NVIDIA drivers, my NVIDIA card, sorry, to work on Windows. So how you will have Windows installed directly on the computer. The problem is, if I do select it now, I will not be able to install Windows. So in the beginning you have to stay with virtual, and then we will go back to make it work. Now here is the network. Now the network sound, I'm sorry, I forgot the sound. And the sound I'm going to leave none for now because I'm not putting the NVIDIA card at the moment. And here is where it's becoming interesting. Now on the network source you have virtual or host. Now depending on what you want. Now virtuality, virtual network that Unraid is going to create, or a host is going to be a host, so you're hosting directly on your network. I use host because it's more secure for me. Here you don't have to do nothing. Boot order, you don't have to do nothing, and here you just click start. The problem is the moment you click create, a pop-up will appear to press the keyboard, so get ready to press any keys to boot how Windows started. So I'm going to create, and how you can see the pop-up appear, and here is where you have to press. Now because Windows 11 has those requirements right now that you can't install on any devices, we have to bypass the installation, because even though your computer might be powerful enough, they won't be able to install on Unraid without bypassing, because it's on the server, so it doesn't have access to full specification of the computer. So what we have to do once this one is loading, okay, so now that we're booting it to install, what we have to do is you push Shift F10 and you get to this point, and now you just type regedit, and here you go to local machine, system, and setup. Here you right click on the setup and you click new and key, and you put lab config, create just a folder lab config, and here in the lab config you right click again and you put dword32 value, and here you put bypass TPM check. You double click on it and you put 1. Bypass RAM check. You double click on it and you put 1. And bypass storage check. Double click on it and you put 1. Remember how I type TPM with capital letters, RAM with capital letters, and storage check S capital. You have to write that exactly like this. Once you finish, you just close it and you click next and install. And from here on out, you're going to install Windows how you normally install it, with a small difference because you won't have any hard drive selected. So this is where the problem will appear. So for example, you will want to install Windows 11 Pro. The reason why I want to install Windows 11 Pro is because if I install the home version of Windows, I won't be able to connect to it except from this browser here, from this window. And this window, I don't have my graphic cards put there. So I want to install Windows Pro so I can connect using remote desktop, and like this I can use my graphic card. So I'm going to click next. Yes, next, custom. And here you can see it's telling me we couldn't find any drivers. So what you have to do is just load, browse, and you go to the vid that you downloaded, go to AMD, and here just make sure to select Windows 11 and click OK. And how you can see it's finding some drivers. Once you click next, now we have a hard drive to install. Now if we're here, we're going to install the network drivers as well. So for this one, we're going to go to, where is it? Net KVM, and here you're going to select Windows 11 and AMD 64. AMD 64 doesn't matter if you have Intel or AMD, it's AMD 64. If you're using this as an ARM processor, then select the ARM, click next, install, and like this will install the drivers for our internet. Once this one is finished, all you have to do is just click next, and Windows will now install, and we're going to come back after Windows finished installing. Now that Windows is installed, all you have to do is literally just set it up as normal. So we're going to fast forward this one to set it up. So once we finish everything, there is two ways we can set it up. We can connect to it, sorry. So either is by your IP, your name, the name that you give to the computer, so Unraid here. Or the second one is if you open CMD, for example, and you put ipconfig, it will appear here. So how you can see my IP address is 192.168.0.105, which you can use that one as well. So once you have one of those ones, just open remote desktop, and here you can either type the name or you can type the IP address on the computer. And once you hit connect, how you can see, it will ask you for your password. So remember, you need to put your password here. I'm sorry. Okay. And he will ask you this one. If you want to identify, you hit yes. And how you can see, I'm now controlling the server. So the easy way to see it is, how you can see here, the name is Unraid. You can rename it if you want. For example, I'll put Unraid Win. So I know it's Unraid Windows. You hit next, but you will need to update after you do this. Now, once we have this one, let's restart later, because right now I want to shut it down so I can add my graphic cards on it. And this is where the thing started becoming a little bit fun, let's call it like that. So once you force stop Windows, you edit. Here in Windows, you still have the GPU, so that's fine. All you have to do is just go down to the graphic cards and put the NVIDIA. And once the NVIDIA is here, you can create a path for the current BIOS, for example, but I don't have any, so I'm not going to use this one. Sound card, of course, I'm going to use again the NVIDIA, and I will click update. Now, the moment I do this, I will have one small problem. Now you can see I don't have any more, so I can connect via the browser. So what you have to do, you have to in a way wait a little bit for Windows to boot, and after Windows boots, then you can use remote desktop to connect back to Windows. So how do you know when Windows boots? Well, you don't. There's no way you will know. So you just wait a little bit, click connect, and how you can see, Windows already booted. So now you put the password. You do not put the pin that you have on your Windows, you put your password. Connect. Yes. If you want, don't show me this again. Yes. And how you can see, I'm running Windows on the server. So you will know because you have the little pop-up here. And having Windows on the server means that you can do all kind of things that you normally do with Windows, but on the server. For example, let's go here and use Asphalt 9, let's call it like this. And we're going to install Asphalt 9. But we also have a problem, because now Windows sees our graphic cards, but we don't have any graphic drivers installed. So what you have to do is just go on Google, accept, and just put your graphic card that you have. So NVIDIA GT 730 driver. Once you install the drivers and everything, you can literally use it as your normal computer. So how I said, we did have Asphalt 9 installed. The problem is that, you know, the computer is not powerful enough to run it anyway, so it's not going to work properly. But it will work, so you can play games from any devices, especially if it's a high-end computer that you can run games perfectly. You can play PC games on your iPhone, Mac, Chromebooks, or on other Windows devices if you want to. You can do your projects, you can do whatever you want because it's running perfectly, just like a normal Windows PC. You can go on YouTube, for example, and you can go on other stuff and do whatever you do with a Windows PC. You know, you can install Office and do your thing, so you get a lot of advantages having a Windows over the internet. And this is the thing that you will not have with Synology, because Synology is not powerful enough to do it. This one will be powerful enough to literally properly run Windows, and if you want more powerful computer to run games on it, then you will be able to install games and then run the games on this computer very easily. Now let's shut down Windows and let's go back to Unraid, because Unraid, how I said, they're having a lot of things. So for example, if you go to application here, you have a lot of application for your productivity and whatever you need to do. So for example, you want security in your house, you can install application for your security. Media server, network services, others, downloaders, you can literally use, so you can download files to your server without using a PC. Just connect to the server with your phone if you want to, and then you click a button and it will start downloading the files that you want on the server directly. Now the thing with Unraid is because it's being so fast, because depending on what kind of connection you have. But far you can see, if I go to movies here and I just copy a movie from there to my computer, I get the same speed that I was getting with Synology, because it's, you know, that's the maximum speed I can get. But being fast makes it in a way more more on top for the Synology, because with the Synology you're paying a lot of money for the same thing, while on this computer and or any other computer, depending on what do you want to use, you pay less money, you get one hard drive at least with the computer, while with Synology you won't get a hard drive, and then you can start doing your server stuff straight away. And in my opinion, it's actually worth it 10 times more than buying a Synology, because I understand it's a little bit more complicated, so you have to install it and you have to set it up and stuff, while Synology you just plugged it in and put a hard drive and that's it, it's working. But then think about the possibilities that you have with this one. The possibilities with Synology, they are limited because of the processor. The possibilities with Unraid, they are unlimited, because if the processor is not good enough, it's not powerful enough, you can just swap it. If the computer is not powerful enough for the graphic cards or the internet and stuff like that, you can just swap it and then swap the piece that you want, and then you get 10 times better server. So yeah, this is why I prefer Unraid. My Synology at the moment is literally, in a way I still use it, but it's kind of starting to collecting dust, because Unraid is much faster for me and stuff like this. And yeah, that's my opinion. If you do like it, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Like this, YouTube will notify you when I post new videos like this, and I'll see you guys next one.